You guys are 12-5 overall, 5-4 in the conference. Just since this is our first time talking with you so far this season, and now that conference play has gotten underway, just some thoughts on how the season has gone so far.
Well, it's been a little bit of an up and down type thing. It got off to a nice non-conference start, and then when you get into league play in this league, you're playing basically night in and night out as good as it gets. And we certainly had a tough week, tough go at number 1 Indianapolis, home against number 6 Bellarmine, and then number 19 Parkside. And pre-season ranked on Saturday, number 11 Lewis at the time comes in Saturday when we're on a 3-game skid, and our guys really just bound together in the second half and got us back on the win side.
Coach, I'm wondering who gave you this schedule? This thing got brutal.
You sign up for this. It's a great league, and when I first got here, I had no idea how good this league was. I knew it was a good league, but I didn't know it was such I didn't know the coaching was so good, and the scouting and the preparation and the skill level's outstanding. When I first got here, I asked Derek Tillman, who was with us at the time, who had been at Kentucky Wesleyan as an assistant. I go, is our non-conference schedule strong enough? He just laughed and he goes, don't worry about that, because you'll get your strength of schedule once January hits. And man, he wasn't kidding. Every year our league is good, and when you're playing, when you're playing 3 top 25 teams in a row, you've got to be ready to go. And it's great for our program. It's great for the city of Evansville and our entire region.
Talking to Rodney Watson, head coach of the University of Southern Indiana men's basketball team. It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3, and online, ESPNEvansville.com. You talk about that win on over Lewis earlier this week, and the article from Dan Korb on the Courier and Press website mentioned a couple of instances where maybe some emotions got involved. There was he mentioned a couple of timeouts in the first quarter where it appeared that the only reason you called them was to maybe get some guys fired up a little bit. You weren't really thrilled with the way they were playing. Take us through that. What was the issue there, and what did you tell those guys?
Well, I kind of got a kick out of that. Some people had mentioned that article, and I said, well, if you want to see emotion, come to practice on Monday and Tuesday throughout the entire year. And there's plenty of emotion. And you've got to be careful. I mean, emotion can be like icing on a cupcake. It's it'll wear off about an hour later, and you've got to be smart with. And I'm not saying I've pushed all the right buttons by any stretch, but the snag we had, confidence is such a key thing in all of sports and really all of life. And we had gotten our dauber down, and we're taking some beatings, we Indianapolis got away from us in the second half, and we couldn't cut back into the run. We couldn't, as we say, stop the bleeding. Bellarmine were to play a really good first half, and then the second half they make a run and we couldn't answer. And a lot of that has to do with making shots and fueling your energy. And same thing with Parkside. Again, they stretch away from us. It's a 4-point game early in the second half, and they stretch away. They make a run, and runs are kind of created by 2 major factors: your transition, your conversion from offense to defense, and also by rebounding. And we'd come up short last week in that, and kind of saw that being the same thing. And our guys things were a little heavy on our shoulders, and they didn't need their coach in that instance to be sitting back like a bump on a log, and they had to see our coaching staff with energy and enthusiasm, but what really gave us a boost, I mean, the real kicker in this whole thing was when Gavin Schumann got 4 fouls and Tennell Rowland really got gassed because he logged heavy minutes, and we got 2 of our starting senior guards on the bench, and our young guys made a push, and their energy and the way they celebrated on a timeout, you could see those young guys look at those seniors saying, man, they really appreciate what we're doing. And that really was that emotion that those guys had coming off the bench when their starters logging 30 minutes a game or more, saying to the young guys, hey, you guys are carrying us, keep this thing going. That made all the difference to our team.
Well, I know there was some talk in that article as well that I believe it was Schumann was mentioned as kind of getting a little fired up at halftime as well, getting into the face of a couple of players. And we talked about that yesterday, and I said there's good yelling and there's bad yelling. Is that a fair assessment?
It's well put, and as we we had made a little run to cut it to 6 at the end of the half, and then we had a bad defensive transition, and we were all a part of that. It wasn't the blame of any one person. We normally play man-to-man. We'd gone to a zone for 4 possessions. It was 5 seconds in the half, and we'd played a zone, and there was a miscommunication on whether we were going to play a man or zone in that last 5 seconds. And that falls on every one of us, starting with me. But what was really encouraging, I knew it was going to go one way or the other because the locker room was spirited, man. It was a communication that I had not heard out of this group yet, and it wasn't just some guys mad and pointing fingers. It was some very direct, very loud communication coming from their soul, and I thought, well, this thing's we're either going to splinter or we're going to forge, and certainly in that second half, we found the energy. Our fans had a huge part in that game. They knew this program's not used to losing 3 in a row. It's happened to us, I guess, once before in our first year, but that's not acceptable, frankly, at University of Southern Indiana, and our fans really got behind us. They did their part. They ignited us, and it was a team effort on the emotion deal.
We're talking with USI head coach Rodney Watson. Coach, you brought it up, the 3-game losing streak. People are spoiled around here. There's no doubt about it. All the way back, Bruce Pearl, Coach Hurtis, they're used to winning, and that's not a bad thing. But
it's a great thing. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
It's a great thing, and that's exactly what we want. Look. Coach Pearl did and then coaches before them did. Everyone's done a great job in this tradition, and certainly Coach Pearl took it to another level, and Coach Hurtis did the same thing, and we're expected to do. That's what we said. As coaches, as players, we signed up for this tradition, and this thing didn't come just didn't. Bruce just didn't walk in here and all of a sudden it happened. He and all the coaches before them, they had to convince our administration and our fan base and the people outside of our program, those people I've mentioned, they have given from their wallets and from their hearts to this program. It's not, they just don't come to the game and buy a ticket. There's a lot that goes on with our varsity club and the sponsorship from our community, and that all, that's something that we constantly remind the guys in our program. A lot of people have invested. They're not just sitting back enjoying the wins and then for free. They have invested dearly in this program for decades, and that has to be in the forefront of our locker room. We told our guys, we're not the ones. We have a beautiful locker room that was built under Coach Pearl's era, and I said, hey, we didn't build this locker room. We were given this locker room. Now it's up to us to play on the front of the name on the front of our jersey and all those corny cliches that there's a level of expectation that comes with the price that's been paid before we got here.
Well, Coach, you had 4 in a row on the road. You went 2-2 on that road trip, and you lost a couple at home before finally getting out of that skid and getting a win on Lewis. You hit the road again for a couple, at least this weekend. You got McKendree University Thursday, and then U of I Springfield on Saturday. Tell us a little bit about, about this McKendree team. That's your first game up. What are you looking at going into there?
Well, anytime you go on the road, anything can happen. We all watch sports regardless of what sport it is. When you see games played away from your home, there's just a different element to it. Coach Harry Statham has the most wins of any men's basketball coach in the country. A lot has been talked about with the coach from Duke and his 1,000th win, but and you can say, well, it's a different level. It doesn't matter. It's all relevant based on your resources. And for what Harry Statham's done at McKendree is miraculous. For him to have that much success over the years that he's been there and win over 1,000 games, I don't care who you play. So we're going into that gym named after that coach who's had that much success, and we have to respect that. And they have very good guards that can shoot the ball, and of course the familiarity at home for them, that just has a different feeling. We'll have to be ready to play. 2 years ago we were there. It took everything that we had to come away with a victory. We're 0-1 at Springfield. We went there 2 years ago and on a swing with Springfield and Quincy and came up short. And so I don't care who you are and where your program's, where it's at. There are no easy games on the road.
Talking to Rodney Watson, head coach of the USI men's basketball team on the Menard Studio Hotline. It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3. One last thing for you, Coach, and we'll let you go because we know you're busy. You mentioned the Coach Krzyzewski's 1,000th win. Thoughts on that, the accomplishment? Is that something you as a coach can even fathom, to have that many wins under your belt?
I was just thinking about, this is my 34th year. I was a high school coach for 4 years and was an assistant at Nebraska Omaha for 2 and at Southern Illinois for 21, and now I'm in my 6th year. I'm not even sure how many games I've been a part of as in my 34-year career, and I'd kind of have to do the math to see it's one thing to be in a profession that long. Don't think that he had a year off when there were some health issues, and the program actually it kind of took a bump, and then he came back. I think no one really talks about that year, and it's amazing that in this day and age where we have to all have success. I mean, think about it. You can use the word spoiled if you want, whatever you want to say, and we're all sports fans, and we all want to be on the winning side. It's amazing the longevity of success and how they've avoided significant bumps in the road, and that's what's think about in our profession in college basketball, who stays at a school more than 10 years anymore, or more than 7 years? That in itself is quite an accomplishment, quite a feat.
That's head coach Rodney Watson from the USI men's basketball team. Coach, best of luck against McKendree Thursday night and the University of Illinois Springfield on Saturday. We'll talk again next week.
I look forward to talking to you guys next week. Thank you.